Are we at a point, are we at a moment in American history whereby this president, a president who, when he was here before, had rumblings, if you will, to go beyond the quote-unquote norm of the law? Do the times dictate a person and the mindset of Donald Trump? And how about all the people that have become unemployed, especially when it came down to our military and law enforcement? These kind of questions have to be asked. Yes, there is waste, fraud, and abuse. How do you do it? That's the question. I would say with dignity and respect. I would say be honest with the American people. Don't just call out your opponent Biden and say what he did. Show what he did. And then act accordingly and try to get people back into employment. I've long said that Donald J. Trump is moving too fast, but I do believe it's beyond him. I do believe nestled between his ears there is something which is not being said. Let's call it technocracy. This is why I believe that Elon Musk is right next to him, because in my mind, he's a technocrat. Those with the brilliant minds, the powers believe are suitable to direct this nation into a golden age, defined more vividly, yet secretly, than what I believe Donald Trump is telling us. Once they get enough things on the books, once they get enough things accomplished, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, there will be no use for Donald J. Trump. No use for him. And then everything will be set. And the illusion will be, you know what? We're here. Fate has brought us here. But it's a golden opportunity to have the best of the best run it. No, we're not elected. However, we came to Trump, the Zuckerbergs, the Musk, the Bezos. We all came a running, and we pledged our money toward the tech future. Baby, this is technocracy. Something America probably never planned for. I did videos on it before. I have a book on it. I need to pull out the book and an actual interview that I did on an individual that I showed it, I believe early last year, but I know I did it within a year. I interviewed a traveling professor who talked about this day. Man, was that guy ahead of his time. This was in the 70s. And he predicted that technocracy, technology, data would run us. Are we here? And is it influencing in part some of the laws that have been on the books for a long time? You see, because when you talk about rounding people up in relation to the hardship that was placed on America by a former president, Biden, and a Congress that funded it, that is specifically these illegals that are over here, you got a problem. And I believe what's going to happen is that they're going to get so far out of hand is that when they come down on the illegals with the Alien Enemies Act and another act that I'll go into, it's going to spin off into us. How else would they justify it? But that they do them first. You know, they play both sides. And they're going to round up a few people and have the photo ops, and they're going to have the people that they have on the other side get out of hand so they can, arrest them to keep us in line. You see how it works? Don't be no fool, America. Don't be no fool, because they got the end game. When you know the end game, you can read what's happening before you. Because there's no use for us. But they got to slowly cage us first. Then they can bring in the AI. How many robots does Elon Musk say he got? 1 billion? Let's look that up. Let's see what he said to pass. How many robots does Elon Musk expect to make in the future?
According to Fortune, it's kind of a cool unit, he said, saying he hoped to already expand production of Optimus robots next year to 10-fold legions.
10-fold legions. I don't even know what that is. Let's just pull this up. 2.79 million. Mobile robots set to reach 2.8 million by 2030. It's crazy. This is where we're at. And they don't have a conscience translated. They got a new Bible. Allegedly, do as thou will. Where God made us in his image. I digress. Let me get on with this because I want to break this thing down. They're in Florida. And they started this Alien Enemies Act. And like I said in so many words, will we be the enemy in the future?
Counterterrorism operations and arrests are part of ICE's national security mission. With that, Tren de Aragua is a dangerous foreign terrorist organization that has invaded our soil. TDA has infiltrated the U.S. through the northern border, southern border, in our waterways. Some TDA terrorist rap sheets and their criminal histories are extremely extensive. Many of these members are cold-blooded killers, rapists, thieves, drug traffickers, weapons traffickers, and human traffickers. They are accused of the most heinous crimes committed inside our neighborhoods and communities. They have been running loose in the United States. TDA uses drug trafficking as a weapon against American citizens. TDA has authorized its members to attack and kill U.S. law enforcement officers.
So the stance has been taken. Now check this out. J.D. Vance and Gibbard at the border. It was Gabbard. That was what, less than a week ago? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, J.D. Vance visited the Texas border. Tulsi was with him too, Gabbard. Look, I say there's a plan at work. This is 2 weeks ago. I see something brewing. What do you think? And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we should not send people back. I just want you to know, just like the economics, they set us up. They let this, they let our money get out of hand in all these departments, and our fiscal habits got out of hand. And again, 36 trillion in the hole. That was on purpose so they can justify cutting back later on. Well, I don't see migration as any different. You let it run rampant. You have these governors and mayors act like they're in opposition, but I believe they're all part of the game because we're playing good cop, bad cop. Now you want to round them up. And now you want to use the laws that are on the books from the 18 and 1700s. But again, is it for us?
Maya, what are your questions on this?
Well, my questions start with why were 3 airplanes landing in El Salvador after a judge said turn them around. One was still on the ground in the United States. And it was because everyone has due process rights in this country, including people who are here who are for determinations about deportation, particularly in this circumstance. That's why we're having and seeing this back and forth with the court. And so the reason I ask that question is because when we hear what we're hearing that is in these court filings today, it seems to be another indication to say we do not have to be accountable to the court system for the check and balance it is to ensure that we're protecting rights and laws of people who are here in this country. I mean, because remember, there are allegations in this matter where the complaint says you didn't even have evidence that they're members of a gang, let alone having committed any crime or any opportunity to just be heard on whether any of that is true.
So yeah, how do we do it? I mean, with anything, it's going to be some mishaps. Elon Musk admitted 3 weeks ago that, hey, he got to rehire the people that he fired in a certain agency because they made a hiccup. How do we get it done? It's a sad day. I mean, I stayed 2 blocks away from a migrant shelter. Anywhere between, they say, 1,600 to 2,300 people up in there. Free food, free shelter, education, and health care. And right across the street, you've seen the videos I did last year. I'll do some more. You got the homeless across the street, sleeping outside. And my mayor won't even help them. People have to walk up and give them things from different agencies. Why are we so butt backwards? It's insane. It's insane what's going on in this country. Let's look at the history here. Listen to this. Donald Trump's plan to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. Because he already did, right? Last week?
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil.
The act Trump's talking about here is notorious for its role in Japanese internment. It was used to forcibly detain and incarcerate 120,000 Japanese Americans in concentration camps without any due process during World War II. And Trump wants to use it again, this time to detain and deport undocumented immigrants. It could lead to the unjust detention of lawful immigrants and even their US-born children. The 226-year-old Alien Enemies Act of 1798 grants presidents the power to order natives and citizens of an enemy nation to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed. All the president has to do is say the word to make it happen, but it's only ever been invoked 3 times. The act is specifically meant for wartime, but it can also be used during an invasion by a foreign government, neither of which are happening right now. But that's why Trump is painting immigrants coming to the US as foreign invaders, to lay the groundwork to invoke this law. Critics of the law are calling on Congress to repeal it, arguing that it's dangerous and could be abused by an authoritarian president. Legal experts question whether it can be applied during peacetime, but there's no...
Can it be applied during peacetime? It appears to me it's already started. What do you think? It's a crippling issue. I do believe in sending them back with dignity and respect. And I don't believe in anchor babies. That's where I stand. Children go back with their parents. Everybody goes back. Come back through the system the proper way. I've told this story before. I worked in the building for 12 or 13 years. I was good friends with an immigration lawyer. I know about the law backwards and forward. I already know. I know how it go. And Biden and Congress broke the law. Everybody wanted to blame it on Biden alone. It can't be done without the funding of Congress. They were complicit on purpose to drop it in the hands of Trump. And now he's going to uphold the law. He's going to uphold the law. But don't think it's not nefarious. It's 2 wings of the same bird. That's all I'm saying.
Who the
President Trump is about to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. The law allows the president with unfettered discretion to arrest and deport groups of people without any hearing. Under the law, there are 3 possibilities to unlock President Trump's powers. 1, to deport people who are citizens of nations that we are at war with. 2, to deport people from countries that are invading the United States of America. Or 3, a predatory invasion by groups of people across the border. Under the law, the president has to make a proclamation that this event is happening.
Do you think
President Trump is about to invoke groups of people across the border. Under the law, the president has to make a proclamation that this event is happening, a declared war, an invasion, or a predatory incursion. Once he does this, people who are from nations at countries that we're at war with, that are invading us, that has a predatory incursion against us, would be subject to be arrested and removed from the United States without hearing, because they would be considered possible enemy combatants. It doesn't apply to people who are dual citizens of the United States or nationals of the United States, and obviously does not apply to citizens of the United States.
And I've also gone on record here in Chicago, South Side and West Side, they have taken over our neighborhoods. And I've also said that it's going to branch out to the suburbs and even in the farmland. There's no limit to these illegals. They'll get in here, then they'll be running for office, and the laws will definitely change. So we got to gut it out. Because we don't know what they're on. We just don't know. I've said late last year, we could see Satan this year. and I mean it. And you look, I told you guys, we're only going to get 25% of what we need out of Trump. And this is part of the 25%. The people got to go back. We need the resources for my people. I'm speaking for my people. We need resources for all people. But arguably, this immigration thing in the black neighborhood, it hits us the worst. I'm not going to argue about it. I've seen it. You've seen it. It is what it is. The powers set this up. We don't need no more taking resources out of our community. We barely get anything in the first place. That's the way I feel about it. But I believe everybody should get resources. I'm just saying this immigration thing is killing the black country, killing the black community.
Do you think you have the authority, the power to round up people, deport them, and then you're under no obligation to a court to show the evidence against them?
Well, that's what the law says, and that's what our country needs, because unfortunately, they allowed millions of people to come into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. So you ought to ask, did he have the authority to allow millions of people? Did Biden have the authority to do something that's unthinkable? Have open borders where millions of people poured into our country, totally unvetted and totally unchecked, just as you would say.
And Americans should have been that naive. Oh, I'm gonna take them in, and we need this and we need that, and you're not even thinking about your next door neighbor who's starving to death. Look, you gotta keep it real, man. We out of hand. Make the government work. Sneaking them in overnight on planes. I digress. 3/21 of 2025 is today's date. Looks like they started this thing today, right here in Florida, right? Alien Enemies Act, first arrest under Trump law, okay? Happened today. Take today's date minus the day of inauguration when he signed it into law, January 20th. The difference is 8 weeks and 4 days. What is 84? Barack Obama was born August 4th. Trump's last birthday is 6/14. Today's day is 3/21. The difference is 97. The 97th day of the year is April 7th. Trump is the 47th president. It's all planned, baby. It's all planned. The numbers don't lie. The Alien Enemies Act, I have July 6, 1798. Take July 6, 2025 anniversary. Subtract it from today, 3/21. The difference is 3/16. What is 3/16? That's called sacrifice, like John 3:16. We're being sacrificed. The world's being sacrificed. I'm about to get deep, so just stay tuned. It won't all be numbers. I just want to throw these first numbers because we're going to go into another subject here. Look at this. Is Trump preparing to invoke this here? See? That's another act. We already talked about the Aliens Enemies Act, But hey, is he gonna do this one? This one here? You hear me? The clock is ticking down on a crucial but little noticed part of President Donald Trump's first round of executive orders, the one tasking the Secretaries of the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security to submit a joint report within 90 days recommending whether to invoke this act. Boom, that's a different act, baby. Many of us are now holding our collective breath, knowing that the report and what it contains could put us on the slippery slope toward unchecked presidential power under a man with an affinity for iron fist dictatorship. Does that give you pause, America? Put in the comment section, does it give you pause? Adding to the suspense was the recent Friday night massacre at the Pentagon, the firing of the nation's top uniformed officer. Remember the black guy they got rid of? The brother with the no hair like me with the glasses? Remember they got rid of him? And removing other perceived guardrails. Standing in the way. An Army, Navy, Air Force standing between the president and his long-stated intention to declare marshal this upon returning to power. Are they just talking or is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is he going to invoke this thing? Is it? 7/6/2025. That's when it went down, right? Versus the day they say it's going to happen. They're saying Trump is going to enact that law on April 20th. And if I told you who was born that day, I would get in trouble because I got in trouble a few months ago, so I can't say that name. But under this guy's leadership back in the day, he got a birthday. Take 420, subtract it from 7/6. The difference is 222. You know what that is, right? That's the Antichrist. That's the Antichrist, the mark of the beast system, 222. Will Donald Trump have unchecked power in relation to these illegals and they can spill over into America? It could. Could it? The courts can get involved. And the, what else did I read today? Congress. But Congress is what, more Republican, right? So it had to be the courts. Congress had to change the law. Congress would have to change the law. Would they? To reel some of this power back in? Remember the video I brought with South Korea and Joe Biden? I did a few of them a few months ago with Bye Bye Miss American Pie. President Yoon Suk Yeol. Remember I told you he declared martial law back in the day? He did it on December 4th. And I said I believe it was in relation to what America's going to go through in the future. He did it on December 4th. Our ally of South Korea, he did martial law back in the day, December 4th. Here he is right here. Remember he said, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Remember he was singing back in the day? You remember that video? His birthday is December 18th. You take December 18th of 2025, subtract it from the day that Trump might do martial, you know what? The difference is what? 7/4. When was America founded? July 4th. Out of number speaking. Then let's go into this here. We're going to segue into this and close it out. Elon Musk was at the Pentagon, and they're like, did he get top secret clearance and get information he got no business in? But they're saying, yeah, we need him. The argument, I watched 4 or 5 videos. We need people like Elon Musk because he's bright. All these guys are saying the same thing. This is why I did my little soliloquy at the beginning. This is the technocrat mentality. Get all the specialists at the top so they can take care of little measly people like me and you. And eventually the robots will come in and do everything in service. And you're going to be happy and not own nothing. You see how I go? Now watch Elon. I got something to show you. Here I come to save the day. Y'all know the story. This is technocracy taking over America. The technocrats, people. See the guy in the purple tie? Purple tie, leading the way, Phoenician. That's it, Clef. Sit Clef, right? Look at his hands. Look at his hands. I want you to catch the game. I want you to catch the game. Purple tie. Now watch Sit Clef's hands. Sit Clef's hands. Did you see it? Did you catch it? Did you catch the pyramid? Boom. Now watch this. See lady in the Tiffany blue? Everything's accounted for the Phoenicians. I will put the video in the description for you new subscribers. Thank you. The Phoenicians used to run the world. Their favorite colors was purple and Tiffany blue. See the blue behind her? Behind there? And then you got the hands of the Egyptian. Everything's in your face. But watch this. Watch this.
How was the meeting? How was the meeting?
Do you see it? 2-2. 2-2. What is 2-2? Is that coincidence? Barack Obama, I pet goat. The 22nd letter of the alphabet is V. After he switched that V because something nefarious is coming to America, what happens? Gradually, everything behind him begins to crumble. Something nefarious happens in relation to V, 2-2. And the American flag, my friends, it literally shrivels up and it tears up, literally. You see the flag tears up? There's the flag here, there's the flag there, and it's midnight. Are we watching something that's happening so mysterious, so gradual that we can't catch it? Do we know what we're looking at? Do we really know? Elon Musk. I got a lot to show, but I'm not going to run the video too long. What do you think, people? I say he's a technocrat. I've heard him say it. I've heard him talk about it. Somebody even reported and said that I think his father on his mother's side was a technocrat too. They believe in this stuff. They believe in rule by the people who are the smartest. My name is Friendship Pearson. Where are we headed? And are we going to have this thing on April 20th? God bless.